Sony has just made a big, bold announcement for something they've never done before.
Hear ye, the PlayStation Classic is on its way.
Yeah, they even copied the name.
Hot take.
Really late last night, Sony decided to make a really big announcement, the PlayStation Classic.
The PlayStation Classic.
Yeah, this is like a thing we've been talking about for a while. We did a video on it.
We did a predictions video.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we saw it around, 2:30 a.m. last night. I got a text and checked my phone. I was like, what? Really? And then I spent the next 3 hours trying to pre-order it because I'm a schmuck.
Yeah. It's a pretty crazy thing for them to announce it so late, but also there's a lot of stuff about this that we didn't get right. So let's talk about our predictions first.
Our predictions video?
Yeah.
Well, I happen to have our predictions right here. So we predicted several things, one of the things being that there will be DualShock controllers included with this.
Yes, and unfortunately we were wrong on that
There
front.
will not be DualShock controllers included with this.
Now, I think this is a mistake, but we're going to address this stuff later on. Now, what was our next prediction?
Our next prediction was that the controllers themselves would be wireless Bluetooth controllers.
And that didn't happen.
We also predicted that it would have the original model shape of the PlayStation 1, which is true. It's going to have the ridgy sort of original PS1 model.
Yeah, I know. Shocking, folks. We made a real bold prediction there that the
Classic's going to look like the classic console.
Right. But there we go.
It's going to have a CD drive so you can play your original PS1 games.
My initial thoughts with this was that they were going to make something that wasn't a direct rip-off of what Nintendo's doing and make something that was a little bit more original, but we didn't get that.
We had high hopes. Okay, and two more things. First, I wanted a tiny little memory card sticking out. Not one that you could actually take out or put back in, but just a cosmetic thing. Just like, hey man, there used to be memory cards there.
Yep.
Nope. And then the last thing that we predicted was that it would be in 1080p because this is a polygonal console, even though there were some 2D games in there. We figured, hey, no, they could probably do 1080 instead of the 720 that the other NES or SNES classic consoles have been doing.
Yep, though we didn't get that either. So we were pretty wrong on our predictions for the system, but honestly, the way we were looking at the system was just kind of like an idea if it was going to happen. The thing is, if Nintendo were to have done it, they would have done it the same way Sony did it right now, which was basically the bare bones experience.
Yeah, let's face it. You've been calling it out. They're basically copying exactly what the Nintendo classic systems have been. They said people are buying those?
Yeah.
Like a lot?
Yeah.
Well, let's make one of those.
Let's make one of those. Hey, you know what's great? Let's just call it the same thing. I mean, Sony, hey, guys, I love you. You make some great consoles.
Yeah.
You're a fantastic company. Call it something else. Did you seriously have to call it a classic? I know not everyone's going to be upset about this, but you're literally calling it the PlayStation Classic. I mean, why would you do that? That's what Nintendo calls their systems. I know, at this point, it almost feels like they're I think it's called pilot fishing. They're basically going beside Nintendo's marketing and trying to live off the same idea. Don't do that because Nintendo will hurt you. They're the ones that will basically go, oh, okay, here's 1,000 NES classics. And then maybe Nintendo's gonna go, okay, let's just release our own N64 classic. Now look, the PlayStation games that are available on PlayStation 3 right now and Vita, PSP.
The ones from the online store?
Yeah, those games are still readily available, but when it came to Nintendo, a lot of those games weren't. And there's more of an iconic old style to the NES. The N64 is a console that people really desperately want because they just really don't have great access to it right now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So if Nintendo's just like, okay, here we go. Here's one for December. You're gonna have a repeat of the console wars.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
What are we doing? How is it? Okay, still.
The classic console wars.
This is insane. Look, okay.
There's the Neo Geo. The Genesis is having a thingy too.
It's true. It's delayed till 2019 though, apparently. But look, okay, folks, regardless, PlayStation Classic, not the smartest name, but I guess Nintendo built up the marketing, so...
That's Sony, not hiding anything. They're like, no, this is pretty much the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's discuss something that I think is there's a couple of very big problems with this. Number one, right off the top, dual stick support, DualShock support. That
Yes.
is a big issue. Now,
Right.
there are a number of really good PlayStation games. Some of them require DualShock support, but many of them are benefited from the inclusion of that controller system.
Right. So one game that I think most people have come to mind when they think about the dual stick setup is Ape Escape. You needed that to play Ape Escape originally. And there's other things. There's things that just kind of up the quality of a game or the sort of interaction that you have with those games, like one of our favorite games of all time, right?
Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, that game's kind of an important deal to have it on there. Now, here's the thing, right? There are plenty of games out there that just use those and the vibration functionality, and I really feel that Sony's creation of that controller was so important for the video game industry. For that not to be in the Classic is kind of shocking. I'm assuming what they're going to do. Yeah. I'm assuming what they're going to do is they're going to release these controllers separately for sale that hook up to the Classic. But
I don't know about that.
because I feel like they have to do it. It's such an important thing to have.
We'll have to see what titles they're going to be releasing for this thing. As far as we know, or they might not even release any games that really dig into the dual stick features. What if Metal Gear Solid doesn't drop on this thing?
That's true.
Man, that would be a crime as far as I'm concerned. Like, you
100%.
need Metal Gear Solid on this, but there's so many great games. The library's massive. It's my favorite console of all time, and I know that there's so much that you can put on this. They're only putting 20 games on it. We know about a few games. We know that Ridge Racer 4 is coming, Final Fantasy 7 is coming, Tekken 3, Wild Arms, and Jumping Flash.
Yes. Now that's a great list of games so far.
Yeah.
But there are probably going to be some other ones. So let's just. Okay.
Are we done? Are we done talking specs here?
There's
Because there's
some more
there's
specs.
still some
Okay,
stuff.
there's some more specs.
Before we get into games. Okay.
Okay.
Another thing that was an issue. You brought up one thing, which was that the DualShock controllers.
I know what you're going to bring up.
Yeah.
Say it.
The AC power adapter.
There's no AC power adapter with this thing. So when you get it, now for a TV that's newer, like one of these big 4K suckers right here, they any kind of flat screen, they have USB ports at the back, and I think those will actually power the system.
That's the assumption that I think Sony has. Hey, you got one of these or a couple of these in your TV already. You can just plug the system in right there.
Yeah, but that's still dumb. You probably should have included that in the box. It's an expensive product.
Make assumptions. Nintendo did that as well with the new 3DS, I believe.
Yes, they did.
They didn't have. Well, I mean, there are very little options there. They just didn't have an AC power adapter in there at all.
Yeah. I mean, as far as I can see, there's a lot of folks out there that look at that and consider it bad. Look, when you announce something like this, it's a short little thing. There's not a lot of information going out there, so whatever's out there has to be exciting, and you can't show any faults. And your first step out the gate is, oh yeah, no AC adapter. Oh yeah, no DualShock support. Oh yeah. This. Like, I mean, you cause these problems that can be an issue. And weirdly enough, only announcing 4 games at the start there, it's shocking to see that. Not announcing the entire library.
No, I think that's okay because I believe in the coming weeks we're going to see more stuff coming out. Maybe this is just the first. Like, this was very exciting. Like I said, I was up for a few hours after this announcement came out, like in the middle of the night.
Sure.
I'm waiting for a rollout of other games, and I'm sure we'll see other trailers and stuff.
I have no doubt in my mind we're going to, but another problem that I have too is that, look, you've announced some good games here, but then I keep thinking the ones that I really want to see may not come on here. And to be fair, I don't think they're going to put anything exclusive on there, like a game that was only released in Japan, bringing that over. There would be some great ideas to that, but I just don't see them doing it.
So whenever we were talking about classic consoles in the past, we were talking about that, we got to get it because of that one special thing like we had with Star Fox 2.
Yes.
I'm hoping that there was a thing here with the PS1, but I highly doubt it. I believe that if that were a thing, they probably would have shown that off in the first trailer. Like, oh, by the way, here's this unreleased game or this game that was never translated, brought over, maybe like Police Knots or something
exactly,
like that.
Right? Something like that would have been really cool, but I honestly don't feel we're going to see that, which is unfortunate. But hey, we could be wrong, and I hope that happens. It's just I think we're going to see a far more generic list of titles that are going to be basically the greatest hits type of thing.
I wouldn't I'm still thinking there may be a dark horse or two there because Jumping Flash, I know why it's on the system because it was a title that was released very early on in the PlayStation's launch, and it was almost a proof of concept for 3D platformers back in the day. But that's still a game that not that many people have very fond memories of.
It's true.
It's a great game. If you haven't played Jumping Flash, this is a great opportunity to do so. But yeah, that has me feeling like they may have 1 or 2 titles up their sleeve that we might not be expecting.
Sure, absolutely. So outside of that, we know that there's no digital storefront.
Okay, yeah, no digital storefront. A lot of people are eyeing this thing because it does have that USB power. They're thinking that this thing will be pretty easy to crack and put other games on. I don't know too much about the other specs. We did talk about the resolution being 720p, or it can also be 480p. This thing's 45% smaller than the original PlayStation. That has a power button, has a reset button that suspends games, and the open button for the tray itself, it changes the virtual CD.
Yeah.
So for your multiple disc games like Final Fantasy VII, which is going to be on this console.
Now, Sony, I just want to bring this up. So we're selling these at like $100?
$100, $99.99 US.
All right. So why didn't this happen with the PlayStation TV? I mean, wouldn't it have been easier to do that? You already had the hardware, you already had the controllers, you already had everything, and you could have just made PlayStation TVs that had like PlayStation bundles on them.
The PlayStation TV is so much better than this thing, man. Because the storefront was there. You could get all the you could get all the games.
Yeah, I'm like, I mean,
you can crack it.
The idea of what this is a marketing push rather than a good idea, which is unfortunate because what Nintendo's doing, they're doing because they simply don't have these games on their platform. The PlayStation 4 doesn't have PlayStation 1 games on there, not because they can't do that, just because, well, I guess now they wanted to do this thing, I suppose, maybe.
I see this as a device that people talk about. Maybe like the way that Nintendo first expected the classic systems to be, like, oh, the people will talk about Nintendo, and then maybe interest will be bubble up for our new console that's coming out. I feel like this may be the same thing for Sony, but like there's not really a new console coming out. This isn't necessarily for us, right? I collect PS1 games. I got a bunch of them, right?
Yes.
I probably have most of the games that are going to be on this system.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, it's not necessarily for me, but maybe someone that forgot about the PlayStation 1 library, that hasn't been connected to the online stores, had a PS TV, or maybe even a PS3. Maybe they haven't touched a PS1 since they were a kid.
And that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I am just like, I'm beside myself. So let's talk about what games that we think are going to be on there now.
Do you want to name a genre? And like, I'll just pull something out. Here's what happened. I get this text at 2:30 in the morning, and then I go into, Shane texted me, and then I go into like dog that's very happy mode. You know, when a dog gets happy, they find their favorite toy and bring it to someone. I was like, I gotta take all my games and bring them to the studio. So I just started grabbing some of the best, and I was like, I don't know if these will ever be on there. A lot of these are dark horses, but there's so many great games that were on this.
There is.
And so many great series that we still play today that started on the original PS1.
Okay, so I already see one game in there, and I know that they definitely should bring it over because this is something that a lot of people would want. Silent Hill.
Yep.
Okay, Silent Hill is a big deal.
Doing this a lot.
Yeah. That's a big game. Okay, that's one that a lot of people purposely go out and get this PlayStations just to play this game.
So my one gripe, or my one sort of worry with some of these games is this right here. It says mature. Yes, the graphics and things might not be considered as grotesque as they were back in the day, but is this console going for a specific age range?
That's what the PlayStation was originally, right?
Yeah, exactly. But has it changed? Is what I'm wondering about. Are they like, oh no, maybe we want to aim more kid friendly or more open with this console?
I don't think. No, honestly, I feel like a lot of kids that would play this game nowadays would probably not see it as a scary experience. You know, they probably look at it like a cheap horror film now. Not that that's what that is. It's just I think that's kind of how it would feel to modern gamers now.
You got to have at least one music game on this thing, at least one rhythm game. And when you think rhythm games, you're going to think of one game in specific. That's this fella right here, Parappa the Rapper. We did see a re-release on the PS4 recently,
yes,
but this would be an easy get for Sony because I do believe that they own this IP, don't they?
Yes, I think it's theirs. Yeah.
I
mean, you're about to bring out another game too.
Yeah, this is my dark horse. If you do want to have a rhythm game, there's another rhythm game that was released. This is Bust a Groove. This is a rhythm / fighting game that was made for the PS1 that not a lot of people played, and there was a great sequel for this game as well. So
I feel if they're going to go with it, I think Parappa the Rapper is going to be the place they go with, though, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But for me personally, Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal 1 and 2.
I don't have a Twisted Metal game here
That's
today,
fine.
Shane.
Twisted Metal 1 and 2. This is important. The first one is kind of a bare bones entry into things, but it does have live action cutscenes and stuff. Actually directed by the creator of the game as well, too. I just forgot his name right now. But Twisted Metal 2 is, I think, a far better experience overall and a far better game.
I think that's the high watermark for the series, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Twisted Metal 2 was the game. It was fairly early on in the PS1's life cycle, and it did one a bit better.
Yes,
right.
Yeah. It really is. It's just a really good entry, and it's one of the games that I remember brought me onto the PlayStation so much, was experiencing Twisted Metal. So I would love to see both those games on there. But there's only 20 games, so if you had to pick one, I would say pick Twisted Metal 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. If you want to cover all the genres, you got to have at least one sort of spaceship shooter on this console, and we did.
And I would pick this one. If
we
you were to
did
do
see
that,
a SquareSoft game, and we saw Final Fantasy VII, but SquareSoft also created, arguably, maybe not arguably, the best spaceship shooter for the PS1.
Shmup.
Einhander, however you want to pronounce it. I think it's Einhander, though. Yes, incredibly good, just left to right spaceship shooter by Squaresoft. They only made like one of these.
Yeah, beautiful graphics.
Yeah.
Like really good gameplay.
The music is amazing. The way that you can kind of combine weapons in this game is incredible. The bosses, everything is it's very fluid feeling.
Yeah.
The levels just go seamlessly from one to the next. I've played this over and over again a bunch of times, and I'm not all that great with the space shooters, but
it's such a good game.
It is an amazing game.
So another game I would pick if I had to pick a game, and we're not really numbering this out just because we can't. We don't know exactly what they're going to pick.
I just have a pile of stuff right here, so I'm just going to grab as we go.
If we don't get Metal Gear Solid, even though I believe we really should, I think a Siphon Filter is a great example of a game that should be on there. Siphon Filter is basically a Metal Gear Solid sort of like game. You're a secret agent. You're running around in really nice open worlds. That's okay. But like that's what I love about Siphon Filter. It's basically this really fun, interesting, expansive world with a really cool story. I remember going back and playing it again and again, and I think there's a lot of people out there that don't really remember that franchise all that much anymore, so it'd be really good to have that in the system and kind of bring people back into it.
I remember in the official PlayStation magazine there was a demo disc, and on that demo disc I believe Siphon Filter as well as Metal Gear were on that. And for me, back at that time, I was like, Metal Gear's a little bit better than Siphon Filter. But as the years have gone on, I'm like, okay, Siphon Filter's a good game, but it's much more like action-y, arcadey, level by level. And then you think of Metal Gear Solid and you're like, this is a movie. Yeah. This is something else completely.
Yes.
So
it's different experiences.
It's strange to me how like over time, like the contrast between those two games has really broadened.
Yes, absolutely.
One game that I'm really hoping that we see, and it was just announced recently that I believe there may be a collection of this game along with another game that was released on the TurboGrafx CD is going to be coming to the PS4. It's rumored. It's not 100% certain, but the rumor is out there.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It's probably one of the greatest Castlevania games ever made.
Yes, it is. It is kind of the beginning of the Metroidvania ness. It's like Castlevania gets the backtracking, gets the leveling up.
Gameplay in this.
It's
insane.
Gosh,
PlayStation, very Konami heavy. There's a lot of really good Konami games on there.
We've had Silent Hill so far. We've been talking about Metal Gear Solid, and now we have Castlevania as well. There's another dark horse that
this isn't a dark horse. If they don't do this, it's insane.
I know, right? Yeah. So Tomba.
Okay, now folks, you never played Tomba? That's a problem because you got to go play Tomba. This game is beautiful, colorful. It's basically it's a platformer with some fighting mechanics, like light fighting mechanics. You just attack things in it. But basically, the way the game feels is sort of like, I would say, Sony's answer to a 2D Mario game almost. Like the way it feels, it feels really, really smart and well made.
I would say it's a 2D Mario with some Castlevania or Metroidvania aspects to it. A little bit like Legend of Zelda in a way too. You are kind of like in a JRPG way getting quests. You are getting different sort of abilities and things, and you're fighting piggies.
Yeah, I mean, this really is. It's a fun game. It incredibly is, and I feel that that's one of those that people really should play. Now, this is kind of important too because we've seen a resurgence of Mega Man, so of course, Mega Man Legends. Now, this is a premier game. They still sell digital copies and stuff, but yeah, it's good.
So yes, as we all know right now, there's a lot of people looking at footage and trailers and all the gameplay that's coming out for Mega Man 11. That's going to be coming out within the next little bit. But Legends is a series that hasn't been getting that much love recently. It almost did have a bit of a revival on the 3DS when Mega Man Legends 3 was supposed to come out, but that never happened. So yeah, so Legends 1's great, Legends 2's great. If you can, somehow we can get our hands on Tron on the thing.
You know, the sad thing is, it's only 20 games, and I think that's one of the problems here. There are just so many games you could have on the PlayStation that with a 20 limit, it feels like you're going to miss a lot of good games. But that's just to tell you how good the PlayStation console was in general.
I know. I feel like we can continue doing this for another hour or so, but people are going to get bored. So I'll just whip out a few more super duper quick. We already have one fighting game that we've seen announced for the system, which is Tekken 3. Tekken is so important.
I would consider Tekken 3 probably the best 3D fighting game on the platform.
Oh my god! When that game came out, nothing looked like Tekken 3. It was a graphical powerhouse, especially on that 32-bit system. That was really incredible that they could get those graphics out on the PS1. But there was another game that came to the PS1 that I don't believe got another home console release. If it did, it might have only been in Japan on a different console. Rival Schools. Yes. Rival Schools is incredible. It's an incredible Capcom fighter that blends everyday high school monotony, sports clubs, and science and things into a really stellar arcade fighting experience where you can kind of combine powers with other classmates and things. And just, there's so many characters in here that are iconic with giant baseball bats and things. I just love this game to death. There was a sequel released for the Dreamcast, I believe, but I have a lot of love for the original on the PS1.
It's a cool one, it really is. And I definitely could see that one coming over too, because I don't think it would be wise for them to bring over a Street Fighter, because we already have Street Fighter on the other classic system, which is the SNES Classic. So I think for them to do something like this, it would be much more wiser here. Plus, if there ever was going to be, let's say, a Sega Saturn Classic, you'd have better 2D fighting games in general. So that's one that I think.
Do you want me just to start handing things off to you super quick?
Just do 3 more.
Do you want me to do 3 more? Okay. I believe that we are seeing a few more Mystery Dungeon games nowadays. And we did talk about sort of Konami games. There's a really great Mystery Dungeon game that...
Very few people talk about.
Yeah, no, this is a dark horse. We said dark horses already, but people kind of talk about them. No one really talks that much about Azure Dreams. Azure Dreams is, it's more towards the beginning of when they were doing Mystery Dungeon games. And it's just a solid Mystery Dungeon game with sort of Pokemon-like mechanics to it, where you're capturing monsters and bringing them back into your dungeon with you. Mystery Dungeon games have kind of a roguelike gameplay factor to them, where you kind of have your one run and you might die, then you lose some progress and you come back. So it's that addictive, well, I'm climbing a tower. Maybe I can just get a few steps further in the tower, then maybe I can get more sort of different monsters, or maybe I can get different equipment or things to take back home and sell in the shops and stuff. So
yeah. I mean, it's a cool one.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I can keep knocking these out, but
I think you should bring that one out.
This one or this one?
That one.
Pick.
This one. Jeez. Brave Fencer Musashi. I mean, this game is classic. Really good gameplay. Probably one of Squaresoft's best on the platform. But you know what? When it comes to Squaresoft, there's a couple of other games I'd like to see from them too. I'd love to see Bushido Blade 1 and 2.
Yeah, you have that. I don't like Bushido Blade.
I love Bushido Blade. I'd also like to see the first Resident Evil.
Yeah, the first,
know what I mean?
The Capcom.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Or even if we didn't get a Resident Evil game, there's another game that they kind of forgot about the series that was kind of popular back in the day. You could do some...
Probably, yeah.
Dino Crisis, which was very good.
If you're going to have one, you got to have Resident Evil, right? They're not going to go with... If they're going to have 2, sure.
I got that around here somewhere. There's also another Dark Horse game that came out very early on the PS1. I swear we're going to wrap this up soon, but there's just so much stuff next to me here. This is a game that was released by Working Designs in North America. This is Alundra. Alundra is like a Zelda-like game It's really, really solid. A lot of people kind of forgot about this game, but if you're really into working designs, this is probably one of their better releases. Plays very much like a Zelda game.
Beautiful cutscenes,
Yes,
too.
beautiful cutscenes, anime-like cutscenes. The PS1 never got a Zelda game, per se, so this was kind of the, like, oh, this will tide you over, and it's great. It's an entire meal. It doesn't just tide you over. It's fantastic. It's sprawling.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Well, what do you think? Are there some games that we didn't mention that you want to see on the PlayStation?
Oh my gosh,
Classic?
they're gonna be like, oh, hey, what about Suikoden? What about Tales of Destiny? What about In the Hunt? In the Hunt's a thing too. Wait a
Quite a bit.
sec. What about Silhouette Mirage?
Write what you like in the comments below.
Adventures of Lomax.